Today, let's talk about Umbral Enchantress and how she could be amazing for you in general content, dungeons maybe progressing, Doom Tower possible, but also Clan Siege. So a real quick look at her skills. Her A3 ability is an AoE attack that places Provoke for 2 turns, one of the very few champions who can do this. Also places an unkillable buff on this champion for 2 turns. So she's provoking and then preventing the enemies from actually killing her. But she also places a block active skills for 5 turns. That doesn't seem like a very good trade-off, especially when her A2 is very good as well. However, there's a way to block this. I'm going to go into that. It's not the most important part of this video, but I will talk about how you can prevent the block active skills being placed. But her A2 is an AoE attack that places block buffs for 3 turns. Now this ability is fantastic for Hydra. You could even turn off the A3, only use the A2, maybe even put her in a provoke set, and it could be bringing 2 potential uses for Umbral into Hydra if you're somebody who needs that role. Her A1 ability is just a single target hit. Damage increases as current HP decreases. So that's her skills. Now, I did a video a while back on her, and in the effort of not being the king of fluff, which is what I was a year ago, which to be honest, I watched a minute into this video, and yeah, I can confirm it was very drawn out to actually get to the point. The point of that video was that Stone Skin prevents the block active skills from being placed. I just now finished that up in the first minute. But I got some more information today, guys. I wouldn't recommend watching this video, though. It kind of bored me as well, so I apologize. Hopefully, I've improved since then. However, nowadays, I get the comments so often, you talk way too fast. I don't need 1.25 or 1.5x speed. I can barely keep up as it is. But either way, let's talk about Clan Siege. This is what is making me want to dive into some other epic champions, because I believe that sieges are won or lost from the posts in a way. Not so much because they're blocking you getting to the stronghold, because it's not really. You can easily go into the stronghold, any of these posts, and make your way to the stronghold. That's not difficult. But what is tricky is when players have a defense like this that looks like something the enemy could overcome, but then you have 3 attack scrolls wasted. One from Frost Candy, one from Matster, and one from Dr. Green. That's 3 attacks wasted. So when you're doing that across an entire battle, if you're having posts that are essentially baiting people to attack, like the enemy's clan, they had a post 11 specifically, where we wasted 10 attacks. I believe it was 4 attack scrolls or 3 attack scrolls. We finally did beat it. My dad actually finished it off, but we wasted so many attacks. Now, that's not a huge deal because you can just go around it. But what is a big deal is that it prevents, okay, if you're neck and neck, you only have a few attack scrolls left, well, maybe you can't finish off the defense tower, which will determine if you win or lose. Maybe you can't finish a magic tower, or maybe you can't finish the stronghold. So why I want to focus on Umbral in this video is because a lot of the conditions currently, or well, a lot of the towers have the condition of only defense champions can be used. And to be honest, it's not really that expensive. If you wanted to use only defense champions, I think it costs 165. Yeah, 165 of the mana orbs. So you can consider building teams like this. But you can see all the requirements. There's quite a few with only defense champions. So now let's go ahead and take a look at my Umbral Enchantress, how I have her built, and how I think you could possibly get some solid use Umbral. So this is her build. It's 4-piece Stone Skin, which when I made the previous video, this wasn't possible, but now it's more than possible. 4-piece Stone Skin using 2 Stone Skin accessories, and then a 4-piece damage dealer set. That could be Savage, could be Lethal, whatever else you can fit on there. Even if it's a broken set, it doesn't really matter. She does good damage, but her entire functionality doesn't need to be around damage because she's bringing that very, very strong 2-turn provoke AoE. Now, of course, it is susceptible to being polymorphed, so you gotta be mindful of that. She is +2, not very relevant. She has cruelty currently, but you could change a blessing to really whatever you see fit. But as far as her stat priority, I'm shooting for her to be pretty fast. If I want her to be on a defense team in Siege, I want her to take a turn as soon as possible. So 272 is very solid, especially if the enemy doesn't bring any block buff champions. And you could come in here and see defense champions with block buffs to see what champions could possibly be countering you. So here are some options that I have on my account. You could do other research if you wanted to dive a little bit more in depth, but this is what I have. Or if they have a cleanse, yada, 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 you could see what enemy teams are going to be fighting your team. But for Umbral, I believe this is a very solid stack of gear and stat priorities. Now, when you look at the Hell Hades website and you see what her multipliers are, it actually makes sense that you're going for a damage dealing build. She has a 4 times multiplier on defense for her A3 ability, a 3.6 for her A2, and then a pretty solid multiplier for her A1, especially when she's losing HP. Remember, she places a provoke as well as unkillable, so she can be pretty low HP very reliably. I don't want to keep talking about her build too much because I want you to see it in action, because that's the most important part. But her artifacts individually, let's see. This is a weapon, helmet, shield, gloves, chestplate, and some boots. Of course, it could be improved, but this is pretty solid stuff. So now let's jump into the arena first, and then I'll do some dungeon content in case you're curious where you could use her there, because she's far more viable, far more usable than just for arena. Now, like I said, this is going to be problematic when you're going against polymorph, but if you're lower level arena, you're in 3v3, you're working on maybe even live arena, it may not be as big of a deal depending on where you're at. This is just an example. Literally, Heffrak could be Sun Wukong, could be Skull Crown. That's kind of irrelevant, to be honest. I would prefer a Stone Skin Nuker. I'm going to use Heffrak in this case, but anything's fine. This is going to be a go second team 100%. However, Umbral could very easily be, the second in line to go after your Armons who turn meter reduces, or second in line to go after your Kymar or your Arbiter maybe, to place the provoke to allow the rest of your champions in the team to be speed tuned. So here, we're going to try to strip and not get polymorphed. We didn't strip and did get polymorphed, so pretty horrible outcome there. But we will go ahead and destroy the Sun Wukong, who is going to res and take 130,000 damage. So I was editing back in this video and I realized I never showed the actual stats of the champions alongside Umbral, but Mithrala is in Stone Skin plus Feral, which I showed her build in a previous video. 283 speed, these are her stats. Madame Saris is just a little bit faster than Umbral. I just don't want her to be cut into. I don't want Umbral to be cut in, so I want Madame to cleanse and then Umbral to provoke. That's the entire goal there. So any strip champion you use would be the same thing. She could have better accuracy. She could have better stats in general. She could be 6-piece Stone Skin, but 4-piece Stone Skin's fine. The speed just a little bit above Umbral, and then good accuracy is all you need for your strip champion. And then really whatever damage dealer you want. In my case, it's Heffrak and Stone Skin, but any Stone Skin damage dealer or even Sun Wukong can do fantastic. So back to the video. Let's go into a different example where we hopefully can actually get some hits. This team's not built to counter everything, but it is all Stone Skin champions. So against Armons, it's not really that bad. And with Mithrala in the lead, Armons is going to be using his polymorph on her most of the time. And since she is built with high accuracy / resistance, she's going to resist it. But it's not a Mithrala showcase, it's an Umbral showcase. And here, let's showcase her. A3 ability kills everybody except for the Arbiter. But the Arbiter has a 2-turn provoke now, and can't res even if she got a turn. Umbral doing 200,000 damage. That is some pretty solid damage from a defense-based champion. Let's go into a Armons example here. Now, if you're wondering why I have Mithrala, it's for a few reasons. The main one being she does the increased attack and increased defense with the A2. She also has a cleanse, but the A2 is very, very nice. Now, it also is pretty good against Armons because of his AoE A2 and Stone Skin, not getting my turn meter decreased, but also the A3 isn't going to polymorph Mithrala. But with Madame, let's go ahead and put decrease defense on everybody. Use the A3 from Umbral and see what she hits for. Boom, 100,000 damage. Of course, I was on a Georgian, but this is a level 100 player, relatively good player power or team power. It's looking pretty sweet, honestly. Like, it did nothing to me at all. Let's find another Armons. I'm going to do a few more examples here, and then we can jump over into some other content. Now, against a Warlord, it's not going to make sense. I do want to find an Armons, though, because this could actually be a very good example for 3v3, because typically, the Armons, I believe, targets the lead champion, which is going to be Mithrala, if he's set to use the A3. Now, this is going to do nothing for him, so he's getting no turn meter and nothing at all, which is actually huge. I didn't even think about the Armons counter. Full Stone Skin team, easy Armons counter, but it's actually the case. And then we can provoke them if they survive. They didn't, because she hits pretty hard. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't have the ability to, make the champion fast, make her do all this stuff, well, just focus on getting her to place the provoke if that's what you want to do. She's excellent at that. You don't have to land the provoke on everybody. You could go lower accuracy. I have accuracy at like almost 300. With Mithrala in the lead, it's a little bit higher, but you don't need crazy high levels of accuracy depending on who you want to provoke and what teams you're going to counter. If you're going to go against a team that's slow, that has like a resistance aura, well, you probably should change your strategy or build her differently. But if you're going against a team like this, lower accuracy is fine, because most of these champions probably aren't going to have very high resistance to begin with. So let's Go against another Armon's team as an example. Like I said, unintentionally, this is somewhat of an Armon's counter. This is actually a great example. Well, Mikage does skew things a little bit. Let's see. Okay, so this is relatively close to my player power. I'll show you the builds of these champions alongside Umbral in just a moment. But to be honest, don't get caught up on the speeds of Umbral and the other champions, because you could scale this down. You could do a 240 speed Umbral, a 230 speed Umbral. It really just depends on where your account's at as far as what's going to be good for you. Heck, my Umbral being 270 speed, for some players, this is going to be faster than the enemy arbiters that you're facing. But for other players, this is just normal. This Umbral speed for me is pretty good. I like it. But here we go, A3. This may actually even be pretty solid for me in Live Arena because we have everybody in Stone Skin. It very much, now granted, Live Arena is different because you actually have another player with a brain who's going to be sheeping the champion who they can sheep. So it is different there. But in PvP, like Classic Arena, the Armon should target Mithrala every time with the sheep, I believe, because she's the lead champion. Unfortunately, if he's not programmed, he defaults to the A1. And if he is programmed, it's typically the A2, which is still useless against a full Stone Skin team. We have the Petrification going off. Very little damage coming out there. And then Heffrak just counterattacks. Didn't even get to show off our Umbral's nuke. But let's see one more team against this. This is a great example here. We have a Taras, Marichka, Sun Wukong, and Heffrak. So what you're about to see is hopefully, pretty hard hits. So hopefully we don't kill anybody there. Excellent. Now, Taras going to counterattack. He gets petrified. GG's. We're going to provoke everybody, hopefully. Didn't provoke the Marichka, unfortunately. Let's go for the A2. Kills the Marichka. Excellent. Now, we have Unkillable still. So, we have the Unkillable still. So, whatever the Heffrak does, whatever this... Well, Sun Wukong can technically steal that from me. So, I don't really want that to happen. Let's just kill him. But now, we're not dying. Like, he can do all this counterattack stuff. Everything. We're fine. We're going to A2. He's still... Well, I forgot about Sun Wukong. 77k from the A1 ability. So, obviously, we could have had a little bit different outcome in that match. Wasn't the best. But you can see that... not Mithrala. Mithrala did do good. But you can see that Umbral did very solid. That's for PvP. If you want to use Umbral Enchantress in, say, dungeon content, let's go to Dragon's Lair Stage 10, for example. Now, I'm going to waste some energy doing this. Not a huge deal. But let's say you have Umbral Enchantress. We can use Sun Wukong. We can use... Let's use my Gwendolyn. We'll use a few damage dealers. It's not going to be great for the actual run. It's not the best team to use. But what it will showcase is that in this run, we can use the A3, the provoke AoE into an A2. And for dungeons, you can even turn off her A3 from being reused. If you just want to use it once, you have her in Stone Skin, well, you probably don't want it to be used again. 2-turn provoke, well, it lasts a long time, right? Like, that's 2 turns. They probably shouldn't be getting 2 turns. If they do, you may need to adjust your damage dealers. If not, you could leave it on, of course. But the next time she uses that A3 skill, I'll actually show you if I can. She will, in fact, have it placing the block active skills on herself, which is just not great, right? We don't really want that. But the next round, she'll be starting with the Stone Skin again. So she won't be placing it then anyways. It's a 5-turn cooldown period. So it's a pretty lengthy cooldown, which is kind of why I'm not a huge fan of it in Hydra, is because it's such a long cooldown. And it's going to lock you out. Because other than the first provoke, it's going to just lock you out. You could have her open with it if you have her in Stone Skin. That's fine. Have her open and then don't use. Not a problem whatsoever. So we'll use Sun Wukong first. And then here, we'll actually use her A2 ability first up. And then I'll show you the fact. So the Stone Skin started off that fight. So if we were to take 5 turns previously, we could have entered this round with the provoke ready. But I use the A2 first to showcase that if we use it with no Stone Skin, that it does in fact place the block actives, because you guys have not even seen it in this fight so far. So the A3, boom, and now we still have our skills on cooldown, but everything's blocked for 5 turns. That is quite a while. However, it's not the biggest deal, because once we get to the dragon, guess what? The 5 turns is irrelevant, because that's for this round. For the dragon itself, well, there's nothing. We're not locked out at all. So for the dragon, we don't need to provoke, right? So for the dragon instead, we can just place the block buffs for 3 turns. So now, well, it didn't even place it, unfortunately, because we don't have enough accuracy. But the dragon places the increased attack on himself, but now he can't, because we have the block buffs placed on him instead. But like I said, turn off the A3, because you just don't need that against the dragon. But for a champion who is an epic champion, you can probably +4. Maybe you have a good blessing 4, which if you have a 6-star, I'd probably go Crushing Rend. But if you have a good blessing, you could empower her some. You can get her in some pretty good gear. She could be a champion who you could throw into Siege and definitely catch some people off guard. Having her provoke placed, all that kind of stuff is going to be very solid for a lot of players in Siege, and it's going to catch some teams, like I said, unprepared, unaware, and you can definitely squeeze out some wins. And maybe you could be one of the players who has a team that has 6 victories, which is going to be very big when contributing to your overall clan success. You can see here, like, we have tons of destruction on all kinds of towers. Like, everything that could be repaired is broken, basically. So we're not putting any bonuses here. They're destroyed. We don't have enough resources to upgrade these or even consider repairing these. I mean, 1,500. It's going to take a while. But what you can do is start dedicating stuff into the posts to waste the enemy's attempts and hopefully have a great performance. Like, here we go. Ares has a team. Obviously, Harima's going to be the best defense champion. And we have a provoke champion in Island as well. UDK. Maybe you could throw in an Umbral. Strip champion, throw in an Umbral. Some thoughts of mine would be looking through your list and being, okay, we want a defense champion. We want a champion who's going to do some strips, so steal buffs or remove buffs. Wait, who steals buffs? Oh, Kantra. Okay, removes buffs. Let's see if we can do everything. Okay, we have Solus, Michinaki. Michinaki's pretty good. Maybe we could throw him in there. Maybe we could throw him in there, going faster than Umbral, and then he strips everything. She comes in, does her A3 skill, places up the provoke, and now you have, say, a Harima come in and use her A2 or her A3. Granted, there's going to be another provoke. So there's various different things you could do to make this work, or you could just be like, okay, they're probably not going to have, maybe they don't have any buffs on them to begin with. It's a possibility. So maybe you don't even care about a strip champion. Maybe you're just looking for a defense-based nuker. You don't even care about the strip. Or maybe you want a revive. Come here, revive. Okay, we have Godseeker. We have Godseeker and Scylla the Drakes. Both these champions can make sense. Or you just want an Island, which my Island is 6 stars, so I will be building him most likely to get him into some of this content. But there's a lot of different options. For me, I'll probably use Helicath, maybe some different ideas as well. I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I am interested in the defense-only rooms, and I think these posts are going to be even more valuable than what I initially expected for them to be. So guys, let me know what epic champions you've been using that you think deserve a spotlight. Umbral, it's been a little while since I've seen any videos on her, and I think the Stone Skin build is just so good. This was really inspired from a Reddit post, if I can show it. Basically, Reddit post, I can't find it right now, was asking if the Feral 4-piece works to prevent it. It does not. Block debuffs does not prevent the block actives from being placed. Only Stone Skin does. So don't worry about using Feral. It's not going to work. So guys, thank you again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully this was a little bit faster than the last video. No, it was actually just as fluffed as the one before. The video before, though, let's see. Okay, I can't find it. Yeah, so this one should be good. Hopefully you guys like it. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.